Hello. Good evening.
जी सर, नमस्ते। सर नमस्ते। जी सर, नमस्ते। आपका माइक अनम्यूट हुआ है, बात रखिए सर में।
हाँ जी।
जी बताएं।
भैया नमस्ते, सभी को नमस्ते।
नमस्ते मनोहर जी,
नमस्ते
नमस्ते नमस्ते।
सभी को
वेलकम।
नमस्ते जी।
ज्वाइन कर रही हैं शर्मिला दीदी, नमस्ते।
नमस्ते नमस्ते।
Nice Didi, we have Sharmila Didi with us to take us through the session today.
Yes,
Nice.
I'm there.
Didi.
Shall I share screen?
That will be nice, Didi.
Yes, namaste to everybody. Welcome to the Friday health session. Anything particular anybody wants to talk on? I just thought we'll do a little bit about the role of the self in keeping the body healthy and talk a little more about intake, if that's okay, or anybody has anything particular they would like to talk about, we can do that.
That will be good, Didi.
Ji. So if anybody is unable to follow at any point, you can just, you all have mics, so you can just intervene. Basically, I'm audible clearly, right?
Ji, Didi.
Okay.
Nicely audible, Didi.
Okay. So if we look at, we are all familiar with the UHV, so I won't go into much detail. But we are very familiar with the human being being a coexistence of the self and the body, with self having different needs, body having different needs. Fulfillment is also different. Activities of the self and the body are different. Response of the body and self are different. While the self has a lot of choices, it can do things, it can make choices based on knowing or based on assuming in the lack of knowing or lack of understanding. The body doesn't have any such choices. The body's response is fixed. It has no choice in the matter. So if you feed it something that is unhealthy, it's not going to say no. It's just going to take it and get in disharmony. So these three we said is, for human beings, these three things are necessary in the right priority, right understanding in the self, relationship with other human beings, and physical facility with rest of nature. And in order to take care of the body and have health in the body, what is required? One second. So what is required is that this right understanding in the self. How does that help? Because when there is right understanding in the self understands its relationship with all other units. So relationship with other human beings, Therefore, when you understand the relationship, you see, that you need to ensure the right feeling in the relationship for fulfillment in relationship. So having the right feeling. Also, the self understands the relationship with the body also. And as a part of this right feeling, the feeling of self-regulation, the feeling of responsibility towards the body, to take care of the body, to nurture the body, to protect the body, to utilize the body correctly, rightly. This right understanding in the self is required. Now, if there is no right understanding in the self, then the self, doesn't understand its relationship with the body, doesn't have a feeling of self-regulation. So then, what is going to happen is, come what may, the self may be busy just indulging in all kinds of tasty food, all kinds of sensations, not paying attention to the health of the body. And then when the body gets damaged, then going to the doctor and saying, fix it now. So that doesn't really work. And we have seen today, the problems that are there. We don't want to go into that. But basically, when the self is unhealthy meaning a self that is lacking this fulfillment, the happiness within which it is seeking, then it starts looking for happiness outside. So when that happiness outside is available in the form of, say, tasty food or whatever it is, then the self tends to overindulge, keep eating. And obviously that is going to lead to ill health in the body. What if that food is not available? Now, if that food is not available, that tasty food is not available, so somebody may be fond of lots of sweets and the sweet shop is closed and there is no sweet available. Now what? Now the self will be unhappy. So what will it do? It's not available. It will try to escape from that unhappiness. So it will try to look at other options. So just like you have binge eating, just like you have all these compulsive eating disorders, because when you are unhappy, you are looking for that happiness outside. One very famous example of this was Princess Diana, who had bulimia. She was unhappy in her relationships and she would go and binge eat a lot of tasty, unhealthy food, and then, sort of gag and force herself to vomit, throw up, and get rid of it. That is bulimia. So eating disorders like that. People also oversleep. You'll find that they're not motivated to do anything and they just oversleep in an attempt to escape from that unhappiness. Similarly, with all these addictions, tobacco, alcohol, drugs, all of these are the same things. Today, we tend to look at people who indulge in these activities as something very bad. But if we look at it, it's just an extension of what we sometimes do. Overeating, oversleeping, indulging in behaviors that we know are unhealthy. And if information was enough to help you get over it, then so many doctors wouldn't be smoking today and drinking today. But they do. And largely, we are not focusing on the root of the problem, which is not the body. The problem is in the self. So we try to fix the effects of these addictions in the body. We try to help people come out of that addiction. But until and unless the self has fulfillment from within, the self will keep trying to seek this happiness outside, and it doesn't work. And then what do? there is more ill health, and then we treat it with more drugs, more chemicals, but we don't fix the problem in the self. So the self continues to be unhappy. The addiction may get resolved for a little while. The person comes out of the addiction for some time, but it's temporary because ultimately the self is not fulfilled. So there are other things that lead up to this. There can be frustration, there can be violence, a lot of people commit suicide. So all this goes on. So what's the solution? So this is an example of what goes on. So in the slide on top, you can see the excitement trying to get this temporary happiness from outside. It could be either through food or some other physical facility, enjoying some favorable sensation, any of the 5 senses in the body. So taste is the easiest to relate to. So you can see this example of, when you eat something tasty, initially you're hungry also, it's necessary for the body. So you feel also, okay, it's very, very tasty, let me have. Then at some point, it is no longer needed for the body. The hunger is over, but you still enjoy the taste. So now it is not necessary for the body, but you still enjoy the taste, so you go on eating. Now you eat so much that you are, up to the neck with that food, and now it was already unnecessary, but now you start thinking it's not so tasty. Now you start finding fault with that food. It should have had little more salt in it. The chutney is missing. Otherwise, it would have been tastier. Earlier, you just ate up quietly. You didn't have time to talk also because you were hungry. It was tasty. It was necessary. Then, even though it was unnecessary, it was still tasty. So you kept eating. At some point, it became tasteless, and now you find fault with it. It's not really that good. Last time it was better, and so on and so on. And then also, if somebody forces you to eat, you'll say, "Bas, I cannot eat this anymore. It's intolerable." So this happens with any sensation you take. So if the self is not fulfilled and is trying to seek happiness from outside, this is the problem every time, that you end up feeling dissatisfied, feeling almost cheated, that you thought you will get more enjoyment out of it, but you didn't. A lot of times you'll notice that in life, that you imagine this is going to be so good. Then when you actually eat it, or taste it, or you go for a movie or something, you build it up inside yourself that, oh, it's going to be such fun and this and that. But when you actually go and do that, you say that it wasn't that great after all. That is because of this. At some point with the sensation, you can only go this far, and it will last only for a short time. After that, you get bored of it and you want to do something else. So either it is, temporary happiness from outside through the sensation, or you try to get attention from your family members, from other people, trying to get them to, talk to you properly. Then you get angry also, that how dare so and so talk to me like this? They must talk to me with politely, and you're almost forcibly begging for the right feeling from others. So all this temporary excitement, as long as you get it, you're happy for that brief moment. And the moment it's not there, again, you're unhappy. And to escape from that unhappiness, you indulge in all these other activities we were talking about. So even if you come out of this addiction and all, you go back to that looking for temporary happiness outside, this circle that is shown here. Because ultimately self is not fulfilled. So what is the solution? The solution is to have happiness from within, harmony within the self. So when there is right understanding in the self and right feeling in the self, then that possibility of continuous happiness is there. So Right now, we may not have the right understanding, but at least we can see that possibility. It is there. Once you have that happiness within, then this seeking happiness from outside, it loses its hold on you. So now, you may enjoy good things. It's not like you don't enjoy the things that you liked before, but now you're not dependent on them for your happiness. Now you're happy from within. And in case if you get this, you enjoy it. If you don't get it, you don't miss it also. So now there is no question of escaping, running away from unhappiness, because you're already fulfilled from within. You're already happy within. So now no more of, seeking happiness outside. If it's there, you enjoy it. If it's not there, you don't miss it. Same thing is depicted here. Now here you can see the self with the imagination going on, the body with its activities, and this self, with that imagination gives instructions to the body, and with that, instructs it for behavior with other human beings and working with the rest of nature. So what this imagination is what I am. That is my current competence. That is my ability. And that pure part within all of us, in the self, my natural acceptance, that is what I really want to be. You can call it your conscience, your inner voice, your pure intention, your purpose, right understanding, right feeling, whatever. So that is the pure part. And this imagination that is constantly going on within me, that is what I really am right at this moment. Now, whenever, and this imagination, right, we have three sources for it to go on. The imagination is going on continuously. The desires are motivated from three sources. One is through the body, through sensation. One is from outside through assumptions, your preconditionings. And the third source is through the natural acceptance. So now, whenever the imagination is motivated through the natural acceptance, there is harmony within the self. Rather than, when it is guided by the assumptions or sensations, at that time, there may or may not be harmony. So, if the preconditioning is right, there could still be harmony because it might be in line with the natural acceptance. But if it is not in line with natural acceptance, then there will be disharmony. So, for example, if you take food, now we all have a natural acceptance to nurture the body. We have a desire to nurture the body. We want to keep the body healthy. If you ask yourself this question, do I want to keep my body healthy or unhealthy? What is the answer you get? You can reply in the chat, so I know that everybody is still there. So what is the answer you get when you ask your natural acceptance? Do I want to keep the body healthy or unhealthy? Yes, healthy, isn't it? Yeah. Yes. So we can see that this is what we want. We want to keep the body healthy. But are we always eating what is healthy for us? Sometimes we eat healthy food, but sometimes we eat food that is very tasty, but not healthy, right? So you can see in this picture, some pizza, burger, this, that, some junk food. Sometimes we eat food for taste only. That sensation, happiness we get out of it. Sometimes we might eat food due to peer pressure. Somebody else is eating and they've gone to that hip joint, that new restaurant with the nice music and all. So that's the in thing to do. Everybody is going there. So I should also go there. regardless of what the food may be. I don't even care about the food. I just go because all the in crowd is going there. So I also want to go there. So now, you're eating food because of the peer pressure, that assumption that you will have happiness out of it. If you see among animals, they don't have to think so much like us. They just eat the right food that is good, healthy for their body. You take a, cow, a dog, whatever. They'll just take a sniff at the food and decide whether it's right for them or not. But we don't do that. It is said that this, food, this fast food like hamburger, all this, it is a minimum of 15 to 30 days old. Now you see how unfresh that is. So if you eat fresh food, it will impact the body a certain way. If you eat this kind of food, which is, almost you can call it stale food, then it is going to impact the body in a different way. The aging happens faster in the body, the regeneration processes slow down, all that happens. And what is happening within the self? There is a state of contradiction in the self. Because now the imagination is going with, assumptions from outside or sensations through the body, but not with the natural acceptance. So this disharmony within the self, this contradiction in the self, of course, it has the impact on the body because you have eaten unhealthy food, so the body is going to be unhealthy. But besides that, this state of contradiction in the self, this unhappiness in the self, this is what we refer to as an unhealthy self. This is what is stress. Today, it is said that more than 80 to 85% of doctor visits that are there for people, they are related to stress. India is the diabetes capital of the world. We have lots and lots of young people having diabetes. We have lots of young people affected by high blood pressure. We have lots of young people affected by heart disease. All of these are said to be linked to stress. But what is stress? A lot of times people say stress, avoid stressful situation. So is the situation stressful, or is it that the situation outside is leading to something in my imagination? So I am creating that stress. So that we have to see. So what to do? If we focus on what is going on within the imagination, if we focus on what our natural acceptance is, and we bring the two in line, then there is no stress. Then no matter what happens outside, you don't have to run away from stress, so-called stressful situations. You can respond to any situation without being stressed by it. So now that ill health is, less of a possibility. Yes, Pankaj ji would like to say something.
Namaste, Didi.
Namaste.
I have some. I have a question.
Yes.
From where we can start to overcome the stress, which is the root cause of unhealthy self and unhealthy
Yeah.
health.
This is what I'm
From
saying.
here we should start to overcome this.
You have to start from here. You have to start looking at your imagination. Start seeing your thoughts. Start seeing your feelings. What is going on within me? Am I having the right feeling? Is my feeling in line with my natural acceptance, or is it something different from my natural acceptance? When somebody shouts, why do I assume that, I have to shout back? Isn't it? When you are shouting back, what is your feeling? Is it a feeling of relationship, or is it a feeling of opposition?
Opposition.
Opposition.
Yeah.
So at that moment, your imagination is not in line with your natural acceptance. The feeling that you're having at that moment is not in line with your natural acceptance. So at that very moment, you have conflict, contradiction, unhappiness. That is an unhealthy self, and that is stress. So how to, change that situation? We have to start observing what is going on within us, because all our behavior, everything that we do outside, first happens inside, within us, right? We imagine it happening and then we actually do it outside. But it happens so fast, sometimes we think it's almost like a reflex action. How can I be quiet when the other person shouted? Why not? If you could see that the other person is in pain, if you could see that the other person is uncomfortable, is an unhealthy self, is having problems, is actually like a victim, then you won't have that feeling of opposition. Then you will start thinking, okay, poor thing, he is having so many problems. Now you'll start thinking out of concern, what can I do to make him calm down and be at ease? Now I don't have feeling of opposition, I have feeling of relationship, right? So the stress is immediately gone. That very moment it's gone. You have to experience it to be able to see that this having the right feeling just changes the whole picture at that very moment. It doesn't need much. But that is a major shift, to be able to see the feeling and to be able to experience that this feeling is in your control. It has nothing to do with the outside. We keep thinking that because that fellow shouted, therefore, I had this, I had to shout and I got angry and all that. You have to start looking at it like this, that the other person shouted, that was a trigger. Who created the anger? I created the anger. Who created the wrong feeling? I created the wrong feeling.
Yes.
At this very moment, if I think of the other person as being like a victim, if I see the other person as, somebody who is troubled, who is uncomfortable, unhappy within, now my whole perspective changes. As the moment I have concern for the other, I accept my relationship with the other, I have the right feeling within me, that very moment, I feel so relaxed, I feel so calm. The other person may still be shouting. That time I realized that the problem was not with that person. The problem was within me and I can fix it regardless of what the other person is doing. That is very liberating. So once that happens, you realize all the stress that we were creating within is really, it is in our hands to not have it at all. We don't have to avoid situations. Rather, we can help those who are already in stressful situations. Does that help?
Yes, Didi. Is imagination and feeling are the reason for all the happenings?
You can see for yourself, right?
Okay.
Whenever you are thinking something,
Yes.
some, say you have some desire in you, what pops up? Some picture comes up in your mind, isn't it?
Yeah.
So whatever it is that you are, supposing if you'll observe, if you went to, say you buy something, groceries or food, or you want tasty food, before you actually go to reach for the food, all this is going on within you. You're seeing the picture of something. You might be seeing a picture of some tasty food. Now you're already planning how to go there. When will I get off from work? Will I have time? All this is going on within you in the imagination, right? Imagination meaning your feelings, your thoughts, your expectations, something or the other is going on. But we are so tuned to looking outside, we don't pay attention to the inside. The moment we start paying attention, slowly, we'll be able to see all this is going on inside me. Then only I'm doing something outside. Whatever activity I'm doing is not like a reflex action. I think about it and then I do it. So you can start observing. Ji.
Okay. Thank you, Didi.
Thank
It is
you.
clear to me. Okay.
Yeah,
Namaste.
namaste. I think there is one more hand raised. Yes, please. One moment. Shivam Sharma,
Hello, ma'am. Good evening.
good evening.
Namaste, ma'am.
Namaste.
Ma'am, I'm basically coming from North India, Agra district.
Mm-hmm.
But your meeting content, this topic is totally in a English format.
Ji.
So, but now in my institution, some students are belongs from rural areas.
Ji.
So, can you provide it in Hindi or English content, bilingual?
Bilingual कर सकते हैं. We can try.
Okay.
अभी immediately तो नहीं, but आपको अगर कुछ भी पूछना है तो हिंदी में हम जवाब दे सकते हैं.
ओके मैम, एक्चुअली क्या है ना, वो तो सारी चीजें मेरी समझ में आ रही हैं, बट
जी.
जब हमको बच्चों को समझाना होता है तो बहुत सारी चीजें ऐसी होती हैं जो उनको उसे एट द सेम टाइम उनको समझाते वक्त वो सरलता से चीजों को समझ सकते हैं.
हम्म.
तो इसके लिए मतलब अगर कोई दूसरी मीटिंग मुझे अटेंड करनी पड़े या कोई और दूसरा ग्रुप कुछ इस तरीके से हो.
मतलब मैं समझी नहीं किस बारे में.
ये जो मीटिंग कंटेंट हम लोग डिस्कस कर रहे हैं इन स्लाइड्स में, अगर हम इस कंटेंट को जो स्लाइड्स हैं अगर मुझे इंग्लिश में प्रोवाइड हो जाएं प्रेजेंटेशंस वगैरह, ताकि मैं इन सारी चीज़ों को अच्छे तरीके से बच्चों को डिस्कस कर सकूं, उन्हें समझा सकूं.
देखिए ये तो YouTube पे ऑलरेडी सब है, जो मे बी नॉट दीज पर्टिकुलर स्लाइड्स बट कंटेंट तो ऑलरेडी YouTube पे डाला हुआ है.
ओके मैम.
आप उसको आराम से देख सकते हैं और वो सबके लिए विजिबल है.
ओके.
ठीक है.
ओके. नमस्ते मैम.
नमस्ते. Students, do we have students today? If there are any students, could you raise your hand? I know that one student workshop has just gotten over yesterday, so maybe people were busy with that. So we don't have any students. Okay. Okay, so we'll go forward with this. So this is, that contradiction in the self we were talking about. So basically, when the self is healthy, when the self has right understanding and right feeling, then, that feeling of responsibility is there towards the body, to nurture the body, to protect the body, to utilize it in the right way. And when we do that, when the self does that, then there is health in the body. So health in the body means the body acts according to the self, and there is harmony among the different parts of the body. They are in order. So we'll not go into the prosperity part. We'll just go forward in the interest of time. This is the UHV part. Okay. So if you see the human body, we said it's a material unit. It has very definite conduct. It is an orderly system. It is already in harmony. If you notice, say if we take the example of small babies, the vast majority of babies are born healthy. It's hardly a very small percentage of babies that have some problem at birth. So we are mostly, you can say, born healthy. Then what happens? Why do things go wrong? So that we have to see, what is the role of the self in that? You'll notice, when you have disturbance in the emotion, supposing you get very angry. Has anybody noticed when you get angry, what happens to the body? Can anyone mention? You can just unmute and speak if you want.
Yes, yes, Didi.
Yes.
Heartbeat is increases.
Yes. Certainly.
Sweating is
Uh,
starting.
right. Yes. Even sometimes the hands may be trembling. Sometimes the voice trembles.
Yes, Didi.
Yeah.
Yes.
So all these changes we are able to observe that are happening in the body. And it is just because we got angry. Now, the moment you calm down, all these become normal again. So that means how many times a day must our mood be fluctuating? That many times we are creating disharmony in the body. Otherwise, the body has definite conduct. It stays in harmony. But whenever we become in disharmony, we as in the self, so when the self becomes in disharmony at any time, it creates disharmony in the body. Now the body goes into disharmony. So what's going to happen? If the body goes into disharmony, once in a blue moon, it's okay, it settles back, it comes back to normal, because the body also is, it's part of the self-organization of the body that it tries to come back into harmony. By whatever way, it tries to come back to harmony. But if we keep, creating this disharmony again and again, frequently, what's going to happen? It will become very difficult for the body to come back to harmony. And that is what leads to all these problems, what we call lifestyle disorders. So one more reason why, you need not shout back when one person shouts at you. You need not shout back, because you are, before the moment you shout, that feeling of opposition, you are creating disharmony in the self. With that disharmony in the self, you are creating disharmony in the body. So both cases, you are creating more problems for yourself than for the other person. Yes, Ashutosh ji would like to say something.
Namaste, Didi. Namaste.
Namaste.
Didi, just let me know, because of anger, I am in disharmony, or because of disharmony, anger comes?
That you have to see. What do you think?
Didi, I was thinking on this thing. Then
Yes.
because of disharmony or because of not having the right understanding, anger is there.
See, when you don't see your relationship with somebody,
Yes.
then you don't accept the other person, right? You don't accept the relationship with that person. So you think of yourself as separate, that person as separate. You have a feeling of opposition.
Right.
That feeling of opposition, it gets expressed as anger. You can see the reaction happening inside also. And then, if it is a place where you feel free to express, you will shout. If it is, say, somebody's senior or a boss or somebody where you don't have the liberty to shout at the person, you will be having all that reaction built up inside. But, you may not express it outside. But it will still, even if you are holding all that anger inside, it will definitely impact the body. So the body will get affected. So this, anger, you will be able to know this for sure, that it is the anger, that disharmony that is there in the body or in the self. First it happens in the self, then it happens in the body. That disharmony is because of lack of right understanding. So if we focus on having the right understanding, then there is no cause for, that not accepting the relationship, because with right understanding, you realize the interconnectedness between everybody. You realize that you have a relationship with all. So when you have a relationship with all, you have a feeling of relationship for all. So when that happens, now there is no anger. When there is no anger, there is no disturbance of the body harmony also. Self is in harmony. Because self is in harmony, it doesn't disturb the harmony of the body. So now all those problems that we were creating in the body, they are not there. Right?
If I am in harmony and I am able to see the relationship with all, with right understanding, with right relationship, with right feeling, then there will be no anger for anybody.
Yes. Right. Isn't it?
Yes, yes, yes.
What we say, trust on intention. When you don't have trust on intention, then you react, you get angry, you get irritated, all that. So what is trust on intention? When you're able to see that you are related to the other person, isn't it? You accept the relationship with the other person. You're able to see that similarity between the two. You're able to see that what is my intention is also the other's intention, isn't it? When you have trust on intention, then you don't have anger within. Right?
Right, Didi, thank you for this conversation. Actually, now I am feeling very harmonious.
Yes.
Thank you, Didi, thank you.
Thank you. Any other person wants to say something? Hand is raised. One moment. Ji, Naresh Kumar ji.
Good evening, madam.
Good evening.
Madam, I was attending a class on health, and I was told that when the person is in anger, then there is a certain type of secretion in the body which causes too much problem in the body.
Yeah.
It was said there.
See,
are you agree with this?
See, what happens is, if we are able to see that the self is the one that is, taking care of the body or having an impact on the body, then we can see that, the moment the self has the right feeling, the body settles down. But if we don't know, or if we assume that there is just the body, if we assume that the human being is just the body, then the self is not in the picture, right? We think that we are just the body. So now everything that we study in the body. So just imagine if when you get angry, Abhi we were talking, right? When you are angry, what happens? You notice all these changes happening. So one of those changes that happen in the body is also secretion of certain chemicals. Now, if you assume, what is assumed today in medicine many a time is that assumption is there that the brain is the one that is responsible for all the things in the body, all that is happening in the body, without realizing that the brain is also a part of the body. So people assume that because of some such and such activity in the brain, such and such chemical is released, therefore the heartbeat rises, therefore tremors happen, this happens, that happens. But if you trace it back, if you go back to the brain also, if you go back to the chemical that is released also, is it really released when you don't have that feeling of anger? That needs to be studied properly. That needs to be brought out. That can only happen if we are able to see that the human being is not just this material body. There is something much more, something more subtle that you don't see. And that is the self. And it is the impact of the self on the body that we are seeing in the form of gross things. The self is subtle. So a feeling in the self or a thought in the self leads to something which is expressed in the form of some gross release of chemical or some gross change in the body. So at the level of the self, it is more subtle. And because we study anatomy and all this of the human body, we cut open the body, we study the body, we do all those things. So we assume that the brain is the one that is doing all this. But actually, that self, until and unless we bring self in the picture, we will not get the whole picture. Isn't it?
Yeah, madam.
Yes.
Madam, there is one question.
Yes.
Before some time, I also asked that question. That it was said that we should take the warm water with lemon and this honey. If we take this luke water after just going to fresh, after getting fresh or after getting out latrine, it causes a problem of urination just after pressing. It is somewhat related to this.
Well, you know, it will not cause any problem. In fact, lemon water and honey are supposed to be very good. Honey is, lemon is an antioxidant. Honey is also, you know, supposed to have a constitution which is closest to human blood. So it is actually very healthy for the body. And if you take it
My
with
question
just
is,
mildly warm water, it will not create any problem. Any liquid that you take, it is going to get flushed out through the kidneys, and that will keep the kidney healthy only. It's not a problem.
what should be the duration between fresh and the taking of water? Can we take just up?
Usually, you know, not so much as, you know, going to the toilet or whatever, but usually in the morning time before 6 a.m. is a good time to drink liquids, whether it be warm water or whatever.
Is there any relation between after getting fresh and taking of water?
I am not aware of that. I am not aware of it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Some other hand is raised. Vijaya ji would like to say something.
Good evening, madam. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Ma'am, I come from a family wherein girls, like, they are not been allowed to speak much, and for a long time suppressing the feelings. Like, I had developed a chronic hives. So what can be the means, how to deal with that kind of stress and overcome this?
Yeah. So if we, you know, in medical talk also, it is mentioned that, you know, if you keep your feelings bottled up inside, it is harmful for the body. So they, you know, do things like, they say, you know, get it out. So express it out. So express that anger, or take a punching bag and punch and sort of get out your wrong feelings. But why create the wrong feeling and then try to get rid of it? Why not try to sort out, you know, and have the right feeling? That way there is no, you're going one step back and correcting it before, you know, before it actually becomes wrong. So preventing the wrong thing. So if you had some preconditioning from before, or, you know, as part of our growing up, something that was not naturally acceptable was part of our preconditioning. Now we can change it. Nothing has gone wrong now. So now we are aware that this is not so good for me. It is not naturally acceptable to me also. So now I can start working on trying to observe my feeling. What happens is that so many feelings that are bottled up, now it has become a sanskar in us. We've become habituated to thinking that way. So now it may take a little more effort, but that is the way to go. Better to Just observe the imagination, observe the thoughts, observe the feelings, and slowly, as we keep doing it, make it a practice, doing it every day, 10-15 minutes. You will start finding that you are able to observe the thoughts, then you will be able to observe the feeling, then you will be able to observe the sanskar also behind that feeling, which is making you compulsively think that way or feel that way. And the good thing about this observation is that you just have to keep observing and it drops. What is not right for you just drops. So you just observe the imagination and see if it is naturally acceptable to you or not. And if it is not naturally acceptable to you, it will just drop. So that's what you need to do. Does that make sense? Is that okay, Vijaya ji?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we can move forward. So all of these cells in the body, they are complementary to each other and they are working together. Just see, even so many cells, they come together, they form all these tissues, they form organs. These organs form, very complex organ systems, and all of them are working together. So, when you eat food, more of this blood circulation goes to the intestines, where, to the stomach and the intestines, where it is required for digesting the food. Less goes to the brain at that time. That's why after eating, you feel a little drowsy or so. So like that, things are happening in the body as part of its self-organization. You don't have to keep checking, oh, did the blood go there or not? Or is the heart pumping properly or not? You don't have to do anything, isn't it? All this is happening as part of the self-organization of the body. So the body is already in harmony. And it's also in harmony with the rest of nature, with trees, plants, soil, water, and so on. There is some, relationship between all of these. So that is significant, because if we understand things properly, then we can take care of the body properly. Like, for instance, when the sunlight is, we've talked of this several times, that when the sun is up overhead at around 12 noon, that's when the digestive fire in the body is maximum. So that is the right time for a proper lunch. But if we don't pay attention to all this, and we are busy with whatever work we are doing, and we don't get time till 3-4 o'clock, and we eat lunch at 4 o'clock, well, sorry to say, it's not going to get digested properly. Because that time for digestion, now if you are putting food inside at 4 o'clock, it is not going to get digested, because after like 2 p.m. or so, it is time for that process of assimilation to start. Now the digestion, if you're putting things in the stomach, it will not go down properly. It will not get digested. So the time to eat is gone. So like that, we have to pay attention to these things, because it is material. It follows the material laws of nature. So what is our role? If everything is self-organized, this is our role. We have to ensure the harmony in the body, at least not disturb the harmony, and have this feeling of responsibility. If you have the feeling of responsibility towards the body, then you will do everything that is required to keep the body healthy, isn't it? So this program for health that we keep talking about, for staying healthy, having the right intake, having a routine or a lifestyle which is in sync with the natural rhythms in nature, doing some labor and exercise. If you just do this much, it's likely that 80% of the problems will be gone. And if you add some postures, breath regulation like yoga, pranayam, some home remedies, then 90 to 95% of the problems will be gone. For the remaining few, yes, you can take some medicine. But today the situation is, when we are taking insulin for diabetes, we are taking high blood pressure for, we are taking medication for high blood pressure. All these things that we are doing, somewhere we are already reaching to, depending on drugs or machines to perform some body function, but it doesn't really work. That is not really the answer. Dialysis, this, that. That's not quite the solution. So when we talk of intake is not just what we take in terms of food. Intake is everything that we are taking in through the 5 senses of the body. So food and water, of course, is intake. The air that we breathe is also part of our intake. The sunlight that comes and warms the skin, our skin being exposed to the sunlight, that is also part of our intake. So all this, whatever we hear, whatever we see, everything is intake. Everything that you take in through the 5 senses. So if we look at food, how are we making our food choices? Are we making our food choices on the basis of our natural acceptance, which means healthy food? Are we basing it on this black area, the sensation, which means, tasty, something that I like, the taste of, the sensation part? Or are we making the choice based on this red part, the preconditioning, like we were talking of peer pressure or something that we think will give us happiness? Yeah. So this is what it is. So what do we need to check when we are making food choices? Is it nutritious? Meaning, does it nurture the body? Is it digestible? That means, can the body digest it? That means what? If you are 40, 50, 60 years old and you are eating the food that a teenager eats, obviously your body will not be able to digest it. If you have hardly any physical activity, but you're eating the same kind of food that a laborer eats, you will not be able to digest, because that person is doing heavy manual work while you're just sitting at a desk. So you have to eat food that is digestible. If you eat huge quantities of food, but you're not doing activity, you can't digest it. Similarly, the food should be excretable also. Excretable means because your intestines are 22 to 26 feet long. So if you check with your height, you will realize how long that is. These intestines, they are so long and they are packed up inside. And the food that you eat, after whatever is taken by the body, what remains has to go through all these long 22 to 26 feet intestines and then finally get out of the body. So the sooner that happens, the better it is. When will it happen? Soon, when you're eating a lot of fiber-rich food. What are fiber-rich foods? Fruits and vegetables have the maximum fiber. Grains have less fiber, but grains are also, required for nurturing the body. So those grains that have more fiber will be better. So like brown rice instead of white rice, whole wheat instead of, say, maida or suji, cream of wheat or white flour or something without fiber will not be good, but whole wheat will be better. And whole wheat also, if you take cracked wheat, that dalia, what we call, that will be better than atta, which is more fine, because again, same story. So all that one has to see that you're eating that kind of food. Of course, below that we have put all the foods that, one eats: grains, pulses are the dals, fruit, vegetables, milk and milk products, nuts, oils. Oils should be used sparingly, and if possible, go for the cold pressed oils, because when you have refined oil, that process of refining, whether it be by heat or by chemicals, it lot of time denatures and damages the oil. Then it is not fit for consumption. So if we take that, then it creates problem. So as far as possible, more natural, closer to nature will be better. Sweeteners, natural sweeteners again, better than processed ones. So instead of white sugar, go for jaggery or honey or mishri, that crystallized sugar. What do you call mishri? I'm blanking out, but natural forms of sweeteners. Non-vegetarian foods are not particularly good for the body. Again, zero fiber. And these kind of foods, they rot in the body, in the digestive tract. They can take as long as 3 days to come out of the 22 to 26 feet long intestines. Fruits will come down within 6 to 8 hours. Cooked vegetables, maybe like 12 hours or so. Grains, maybe 24 to 36 hours. Non-vegetarian foods can take 3 days, besides all the other problems with non-vegetarian foods. But we are out of time now, so I think we will have to stop. I think Parikshit Bhaiya, yeah, Manisha Chukla ji, what shall we do? Is there time for a quick question from somebody, or should we stop?
There are no hands raised.
Ji, then we'll.
Somebody.
Kamil ji is there, Didi.
Namaste. Namaste, ma'am.
Namaste, ma'am.
नमस्ते नमस्ते बहुत अच्छा लगा ऑल इज वेल
Namaste to all.
Ma'am, shall I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, we know the anatomy of the human body. Even the doctors very well know about the human body. But still, doctors are following the correct timings to have food and all. Because of the tight schedule and like due to emergency of cases, something like that, they are unable to take the food in time. But they know very well about the complete picture about the human body.
What is your question?
No, again it will affect their body, no, and that's what. No.
What?
No, doctors and the medical practitioners are unable to follow the timings.
Unable means what? We are making the choice, isn't it?
Mm.
So I think better that we focus on ourselves, because talking about others, again, we are looking outside at others. What about us?
Okay, so we have to take care of that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Every self has to take care of the body, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Hello, Didi.
Yes, please.
And sometimes what happens, as per the circadian rhythm, people used to have some hungerness. If someone is not feeling hungry, suppose someone is taken breakfast, heavy breakfast in the morning, right? As per the Ayurveda, some of the persons like Dr. Rajiv Dikshit and much of the motivated, they're supposed to tell that as per the सुबह राजा जैसा खाना है, दोपहर को कुछ और.
No. Ayurveda doesn't say all this.
Let me complete, Didi.
Yeah, but what you're saying is not correct. Ayurveda never says that सुबह राजा जैसा खाना है. No.
Okay. So what about that? No, if someone is taking a breakfast in the morning, okay, heavy breakfast, okay, so he feels that if he is not hunger at 12 to 2, he will feeling hunger at 3 o'clock. So what he will do?
Yeah,
Because
what he should do
hungry.
is, I'll tell you what he should do.
Yeah.
He should eat a light breakfast before 8 o'clock in the morning and have proper lunch at 12 noon, rather than try to, eat whenever we feel like. A light breakfast in the morning, because the body is going through some cleansing processes in the morning. So better to eat a very light breakfast. You can eat fruit in the morning by 8 o'clock. Within 2.5 hours, it will go out of the stomach. By 12 o'clock, you will be hungry for food. You can do that. But if you eat a heavy breakfast at 10 o'clock, obviously you will not be hungry till 3 o'clock. Don't eat at 3 o'clock. Eat an early dinner at 6 o'clock. That will be better.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
but one more thing was there that if someone is having angerness, right?
Mm.
So as per that angerness, we know that when we are talking and we are laughing, right? So sometimes what happen, no, good hormones are there that is supposed to secrete, the like endorphins, if you feel that one, right?
Mm.
That are there. But similarly, when someone is getting angry, no, so there is adrenaline, noradrenaline in the body. They're supposed to secrete actually.
Mm.
That are the things, that makes the person hypertensive or prone to lot of disorders. But what happens? A young guy, when he is getting angry, he is not having that one. But a person with greater than 30 age, if he will get angry, he is having that problem. There is a chance
Yeah.
that yeah. So it is the thing that our body, because I am from that medical field, so I'm saying that one. Okay, sorry for that. So what is there? No, so in my case also, I feel that one. I'm sharing my experience exactly. Okay,
See,
so what you said that is 100% true, Didi. Because I follow now. I in the morning I'm not just taking the vegetables and fruits. I feel hungerness at 11:30 to 1 o'clock.
yeah.
That is fantastic. Then again, I supposed to feel at hungerness at 4 o'clock. So I used to take some fruits again.
Yes,
Then
that is
then
fine.
then again, yeah, then 7 o'clock. But earlier I supposed to follow that one. The morning I used to take the lunch in the breakfast. So what happens? No, believe me, that is the true. What happens? Me no, I was pre-diabetic at the age of 28 at 30.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once I skip that, I follow this diet. No, I never used to take any grain in the morning as breakfast. I used to take only fruits and vegetables. Now I have
Yeah.
maintained my body weight, my everything. So it's a nice
Yes.
thing. I'm not
Yes.
denying. But what happens, in the sorry, the time has crossed. I took the time. But what
Just
happens?
quick. Hmm.
Yeah, just within 1 minute, I'm finishing.
Yeah.
What is my experience? No, when I was young, I think that I was not having that. But now, if I supposed to shout, no, my BP supposed to shoot up because when we are
Yeah, I'll
getting
tell you
very
why that
young,
happens.
yeah,
Yeah.
madam, please.
See, if you are doing this once, twice, thrice, the body recovers. There is no problem.
Yeah, Didi.
But body has a certain age, right? It is
Yeah, Didi.
advancing age. Now
Yeah, Didi.
you keep getting angry 10 times, 12 times, 15 times. At some point, the body cannot cope up. Now there is a problem. You continue doing it, that disharmony that was there in the body temporarily, it becomes permanent now.
Okay. What I
That
observed
is
in
what
my body, Didi, what I observed, my personal experience I'm sharing within 1 minute, that in my case, what happening now, if I will do sun salutation, Surya Namaskar or physical small exercise, right, with daily half an hour, if someone is shouting or if I'll shout, no, nothing was happening to me. But if I'm escaping that, no, I am losing my that body tolerance exactly.
Yeah, because when you
Yeah.
exercise, the endorphins or the feel good hormones are released.
Yeah. So
So
if
that makes you feel good, but then you will be dependent on exercise. The moment you stop exercising, again, you will have problem. So better thing is, let us fix the problem in the self first. Then you don't have to
that
worry about all
that I understand and I fixed that
Yes.
one by the blaze of UHB only. I understand that and I'm feeling
Yeah.
that one. Thank you. That was my sharing. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. I think time is up. So, although there are a couple of hands raised, maybe should be stopping.
जी दीदी
जी
जी जी दीदी so like I'm sure like just like for me it has been nice listening to the session to the rest of our participants. They would have quite enjoyed and had a lot of takeaways from this particular session. Let's keep on self-exploring a little more on the aspect, and let's meet again next Friday for another fulfilling session. So like I can see Dr. Sanjay is writing very interactive session and interesting as well. So thank you all and namaste. And we'll meet on Wednesday for the follow-up session on UHV Module 1 and on Friday for Module 2 of the eSIP. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sharmila Didi.
Thank you
Namaste,
all
Didi.
for listening.
Thank you, Didi.
Namaste, namaste
Hmm.
sabko.
Namaste.